When you think of McDonald's, what is the very first thing that comes to your mind? A juicy Big Mac? Golden, crispy French fries? Or maybe those famous golden arches lighting up the highway at night? For decades, McDonald's has been the undisputed king of the fast food industry. They serve over 69 million customers every single day. That is more than the entire population of France or the United Kingdom. They operate in over 100 countries, with more than 40,000 locations worldwide. Every second, McDonald's sells over 75 hamburgers. By any standard, they are a massive fast food powerhouse. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about McDonald's is a brilliant illusion? What if the burgers, the fries, the toys, and the sodas are just a giant distraction from their actual business? The truth is, McDonald's does not make its billions from selling food. In fact, if they relied solely on burger sales, the company would have gone bankrupt decades ago. So, how does this global giant actually make its money? To understand the genius behind their multi-billion-dollar empire, we have to look past the kitchen, past the drive-thru, and focus on a secret financial strategy hidden right beneath your feet. To uncover the secret, we have to travel back in time to the 1950s. Two brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald, had created something revolutionary in San Bernardino, California. They called it the Speedy Service System. It was the birth of modern fast food. They stripped down the traditional drive-in menu to just the essentials: burgers, fries, shakes, and apple pies. Everything was standardized, assembly-line style. It was fast, cheap, and incredibly efficient. The brothers were happy with their small, successful restaurant, but they didn't know how to scale it globally. Enter Ray Kroc. He was a 52-year-old traveling milkshake mixer salesman who was amazed by the efficiency of the brothers' restaurant. Kroc saw the massive potential and convinced the McDonald brothers to let him franchise their concept across the United States. At first, Kroc's expansion looked like a massive success on paper. New restaurants were opening up everywhere, and people loved the food. But behind the scenes, Ray Kroc was facing a financial nightmare. Even though millions of burgers were being sold, Kroc was running out of money. The agreement he signed with the McDonald brothers gave them most of the profits from the franchise fees. The profit margins on 15-cent hamburgers were simply too low to cover the massive corporate costs of rapid expansion. Kroc was drowning in debt, and his bank was threatening to shut him down. Then, a life-changing meeting occurred. Kroc met a brilliant financial wizard named Harry Sonneborn. Sonneborn looked at the company's financial books and immediately saw the flaw. He gave Ray Kroc a piece of advice that changed corporate history forever. Sonneborn famously told him, "Ray, you don't build an empire selling a 15-cent hamburger. You build it by owning the land on which that hamburger is cooked." This single insight completely transformed McDonald's from a struggling restaurant chain into the most profitable corporation in the world. Sonneborn convinced Kroc that the real money was not in the kitchen, it was in the dirt. Shortly after, in 1956, Kroc set up the Franchise Realty Corporation. And the real game began. So, how exactly does this real estate model work today? Most people assume that when an entrepreneur wants to open a McDonald's franchise, they just pay a one-time fee, build a restaurant, and buy the ingredients from the corporate headquarters. That is how Subway or Burger King mostly operate. But McDonald's took a completely different, much smarter route. Instead of letting the franchise owner choose a location, McDonald's corporate headquarters does all the heavy lifting. They use advanced data, traffic analysis, and demographic research to find the absolute best pieces of land in the world. They look for busy intersections, crowded city centers, and prime spots right off major highways. Once they find the perfect location, McDonald's corporate goes out and buys the land, or signs a very long-term, fixed-price lease on it. After securing the property, they find an eager entrepreneur, the franchisee, who wants to operate a McDonald's. Corporate then forces the franchisee to rent that specific piece of land and building from them. And here is where the absolute genius lies. McDonald's charges the franchise owner a massive markup on the rent. On average, a McDonald's franchisee pays anywhere from 12 to 20% of their monthly gross sales in rent back to corporate. This is vastly higher than any other fast food chain in the world, where rent is usually a fixed, much lower cost. Think about the brilliant safety net this creates for corporate. If a regular restaurant has a bad month because the cost of beef goes up or because of bad weather, the restaurant owner suffers heavily. But for McDonald's corporate, it doesn't matter if the price of ingredients skyrockets or if labor costs increase. The franchise owner still has to pay the rent every single month, without excuse. McDonald's corporate acts as the ultimate global landlord. They have guaranteed, recurring, inflation-proof revenue from thousands of prime properties across the earth. Let's look at the actual financial numbers to see just how powerful this strategy is. Today, around 95% of all McDonald's restaurants worldwide are owned and operated by independent franchisees. Only 5% are run directly by the corporate office. When you look at the annual financial reports of the company, the truth becomes crystal clear. The revenue that McDonald's makes from its corporate-owned stores comes with very high operational costs. They have to buy the inventory, pay the cooks, manage the cleaning, and cover the electricity bills. Because of this, the profit margin for actually selling food is usually around 15 to 20%. But what about the revenue McDonald's receives from rent and franchise fees? That revenue has a jaw-dropping profit margin of over 80%. They do not have to worry about food rotting in the freezer. They do not have to worry about kitchen equipment breaking down or managing customer service complaints. They simply sit back and collect the rent checks. In fact, McDonald's owns tens of billions of dollars worth of prime real estate. By many financial metrics, they are not a fast food company with a lot of property. They are one of the largest real estate owners on the entire planet. They hold more valuable land than almost any other private institution, sitting right alongside mega landowners like the Catholic Church or the British royal family. Their entire fast food empire is essentially a massive real estate investment trust that is cleverly financed by selling hamburgers. The food is simply a tool to ensure that the tenant, the franchise owner, can afford to pay the landlord their rent. This incredible business model makes McDonald's completely bulletproof, even during severe global economic recessions. When the economy goes down and inflation rises, people stop going to expensive sit-down restaurants. Instead, they look for cheaper alternatives, meaning they flock to McDonald's for low-cost meals. Because of this, franchise sales stay strong, which keeps the rent money flowing into corporate. And even if a specific location struggles to sell food, the physical value of the land underneath the building usually appreciates and goes up over time anyway. If a franchisee fails, McDonald's can simply replace them with another eager operator because the location itself is incredibly valuable. Years after transforming the company, Ray Kroc was invited to speak to a class of MBA students at the University of Texas. After his presentation, Kroc asked the students a simple question. "What business do you think I'm in?" The room went quiet, and then everyone laughed, thinking it was a joke. One bold student raised his hand and shouted, "Ray, everyone knows you're in the hamburger business." Kroc smiled, shook his head, and replied, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate." The next time you see those iconic golden arches, remember this. You are not just looking at a fast food restaurant. You are looking at a masterclass in business strategy, a brilliant real estate empire that figured out how to get millions of people to pay off its global mortgages, one burger at a time. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden business models of the world's biggest corporations, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments below. What company secrets should we uncover next? Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.